Hello, hello. It is a beautiful Tuesday down here in Florida. I hope it is beautiful wherever you are. And today is the second day of my 30 days of giving, and I am already having so much fun. The number of people that I've been able to connect with who have private messaged me, who've emailed me, who have interacted with me. It's been amazing. So I'm super excited about the 30 days of giving, and I am super excited about Facebook Live. It's my second day in a row on Facebook Live. I'm gaining some momentum here. It's third time on in the last week. So as you can see, I'm obviously going to start using this a lot more. Okay, so today's gift for 30 days of giving is actually it goes along with what we're going to talk about here in the live today. So my gift today was the Why workbook. And you're probably thinking, why do I need a Why workbook? So that is what we're going to talk about in this live, is why you need a Why workbook. The number one mistake I see people making with their businesses, and that I have to correct with every single one-on-one client I work with, and this is how I know that this is going to be beneficial for you and that this is going to be something that you're maybe struggling with and don't even realize. It's one of those things that you probably don't know to do. Most people, they're messaging on Facebook, on Instagram, their website, when they're interacting in groups, all of the messaging around their business is about what they do, okay? They're a business coach, or they're a health coach, or they're a graphic designer, or whatever it is. People talk about what they do. People don't talk about why they do it. And that is what we're going to talk about. Okay. If you're familiar with Simon Sinek at all, maybe you already know about this, and I post his video all the time. So maybe you've seen me post it before if you've followed me for a while, but he says people don't buy what you do. They buy why you do it. And I think there's a lot of different reasons for that. But first and foremost, people want to work with people they like and people that they feel a connection with. When you hear someone talking about the same struggles you're going through and they tell you they've come out on the other side and that they've achieved all these things, you think, hey, maybe I can do it too. And that's the kind of person you're drawn to work with. And it really doesn't matter what industry you're in or what you do for a living. If you're an entrepreneur with your own business, or you're a professional in another business, everyone can benefit from sitting down and asking themselves, why are you doing what you do? Okay, so I'm gonna give you a little bit of an example. If you've been on my email list for a while, maybe you saw this a while back. I did an email where I gave an example of why leading with why is so effective. So I said in the email, okay, I can tell you what I do. What I do is I'm a business coach, and I work with people who want to become more visible in their businesses, establish their expertise, and use that visibility to attract new business. That's what I do, okay? I can tell you how I do it. I can tell you that I work with people on landing public speaking gigs and becoming better speakers, that I work with people on doing video like this, that I work with people on landing podcast and radio interviews and other media appearances like television. I can tell you I help people get guest blogs on major websites. I can tell you how I make people visible, okay? All those things are how I make people visible. Once I tell you how I do it, maybe you're a little more interested in working with me. Okay, I've told you what I do, told you how I do it. You're probably not ready to click the buy button right now. Okay, what if I tell you why I do it? Okay, why I do what I do. So I started becoming more visible and building my expertise while I was still a practicing corporate attorney. And it was something that I was doing, honestly, in the beginning just for fun, and it snowballed. I was establishing this expert niche in the business of sports, okay? And that led me to a number of different opportunities. And the sort of turning point for me when I would say my career really started to transition wasn't actually of my own choice at all. I had wanted to be an attorney my entire life. I was working at a law firm that I loved. I was making really good money. I liked the clients I was working with. I was like one of the only attorneys in the universe who actually enjoyed being an attorney, okay? Just play along, pretend you understand that. Even when I talk to other attorneys, they don't understand that. Okay, but I really was enjoying it, and I wasn't looking to get out of it, which is what people assume was happening. Instead, I was a corporate attorney who was working primarily in the beginning on commercial mortgage-backed securities when the market tanked. And if you know anything about the market tanking, or you watch the movie The Big Short, you probably know that a big reason the market tanked was commercial mortgage-backed securities. So imagine what happens to a young attorney, pretty fresh out of law school, who only does commercial mortgage-backed securities. Not a pretty picture, not at all. But I had been building this sort of expertise on the side. I had landed a book deal. I was doing television and radio interviews, and that made me really marketable as an attorney, even though what I was doing had nothing to do with my practice area. And so when my law firm laid me off, quite unfortunately, towards the end of 2009, I never went a single day without a job. Not one day. I immediately had offers from 2 other law firms and was able to choose between them. Didn't have to take a pay cut. Didn't spend a day unemployed, okay? I was able to make that move because I had created this personal brand for myself, and I was an expert, and I was visible for my expertise. I was on TV and radio, and that's free marketing for law firms. Why wouldn't they want to hire someone who's on TV and radio? And, sort of fast forward a couple of years from that, I was able to leave the practice of law and go to be ESPN's sports business analyst. I got another book deal. I got bigger and better media opportunities. And eventually I was able to turn that into working for myself and calling my own shots. And that's what I do today. So my why, the reason I work with people on becoming more visible is and really establishing their expertise. To me, that goes hand in hand. You establish yourself as an expert, you become more visible. It's a chicken and the egg kind of thing, like which one comes first. And they're both important and they work together because I think they allow you to write your own ticket. So whether you want to work in corporate America and you're looking for a bigger and better job, you want to make yourself bulletproof so that your company doesn't get rid of you, you just want to control your own destiny and your professional and financial future. That's why you want to establish yourself as an expert. That's why you want to be more visible for your work. Even if you're, like I was, and you're in a law firm and you want to stay in that law firm, your ability to attract new clients will come from your ability to show that you have a niche and that you're an expert in that niche and to be visible so people find you and hire you to do that kind of work for them. So, whether you are in a profession and you're working for somebody 9 to 5 and you're happy to stay there and you just want more flexibility, or you're trying to build your own business and you want to become visible as an expert because you want to attract new clients. I work with people on visibility, on building their expertise, because I've been there and I've seen how it has allowed me to control my own professional and financial future, and how it has kept me from ever being without a job or ever being concerned about where my next paycheck or where my next money was coming from a client or whatever. And so that's my why. That is why I work on visibility and creating experts. And that was sort of long-winded. Honestly, I do a better job when I write these sort of things out. But you get the point, okay? If I just tell people I'm a business coach who focuses on visibility, okay, great. There's other people out there who do that. You know nothing about me. You're not going to be clicking the buy button and working with me. If I tell you how I do it, I tell you I help people get guest posts and podcasts and radio interviews, whatever. If I tell you how I do it, maybe that makes you more interested because you're thinking, ooh, I want to land media appearances and I don't know how to do that. So maybe that appeals to me. When I tell you my why and I give these personal stories, and normally it's not like this where I'm like brain dumping all of it at once. When I weave that into my messaging, whether that's my own social media posts, that's my post in groups, my answers to people in groups who have posed questions, the copy on my website, my email newsletter, there are little pieces of my story and my journey that I weave into all of my messaging. And I'm realizing now you guys can't see my hands. I talk with my hands, but they're down here under the camera. You can't really see it. So when I weave those little bits into my messaging, it makes an enormous difference. It allows people to connect with me on a personal level, and people want to work with people that they like and people they connect with, people they think get them and understand them, okay? So that's why figuring out your why is so important. Let me give you another example, okay? I worked with a client towards the end of last year who was actually also a former attorney who was building a business that's a product-based business, and she was just sort of getting off the ground. And one of the first questions I asked her was what the name of her business meant. Now, I didn't tell her I was going to talk about her today, so I'm not going to give you the name of the business, but it wasn't a word you'd find in the dictionary. And I asked her, what did it mean? And she said that it was a combination of her 2 grandmothers' names. Okay. And I thought, well, I'm going to dig a little deeper here. why did you choose your two grandmothers' names? And I'll tell you that her business had to do with organization, and we'll just leave it at that, okay? So she tells me that so much of what she learned and so much of the way that she structures her life and her household came from her two grandmothers who helped raise her. And she had this beautiful story about her grandmothers and about their strength and facing adversity and the way that they ran their households and the way that they were as women and the presence that they had. And it was awesome. I mean, I was totally hooked. And so we worked on putting that into her messaging and even into imagery. I said, we've got to come up with some sort of logo or something that's got these two grandmothers. And I think you should talk about your two grandmothers all the time and say, you know, grandmother so-and-so taught me this. You know, when you're giving a tip, weave that into your story and talk about your relationship with your grandmother or your grandmothers and how that fits into what you're doing. And we put together this messaging plan that was based around her two grandmothers, and that ties together the name of her business. When you start pulling in personal elements like that, you will notice a huge difference in your business almost immediately. And some people, like my client in this particular instance, are very reluctant to do that. They're not comfortable being visible. They're not comfortable sharing parts of their personal life. And I really think that that's a mindset block you've got to get past. Okay, because people connect with people. Okay, and like Simon Sinek said, people buy why you do something, they don't buy what you do. Okay, and Simon Sinek's got a great video where he talks about it. He gives a great example with Apple and how they lead with their why story. So if you take a look in the group today and you go back and you find the post I had this morning for the 30 days of giving, you can find my why workbook, and it will walk you through how to find your why. It's the exact workbook that I use with my one-on-one clients now. I kind of talk about my story a little bit. I give you the Simon Sinek video so that you can watch it, because I think it makes a huge difference if you watch that video. And then it walks you through the questions that you need to ask yourself in order to come up with your why. And I call it a why statement. So to come up with your why statement, because I really think that you should sit down and take the time to do that and figure out ways to start weaving that into your messaging, and start watching in Facebook groups and on Instagram and in other people's messaging. Start watching for people to be telling you their own story and to be weaving in things from their own experience. And I think you'll notice that a lot of people do it, and that it's a lot of people you connect with that you really admire, that you wish your business was more like, or you wish you were more like on social media. So I think now that we've had this discussion, you'll start noticing it a little bit more. And if you start working through the why workbook and you get stuck, you're feeling self-conscious, it just doesn't feel right to you, get in touch with me, leave me a comment, or send me a private message if you don't want to say it in front of everybody. Email me, it's Christy@guidemybrand.com, and let's work through it together, because I think if you can figure out your why and you start leading with your why, you will notice huge changes for your business. And if you do, I want to hear about those too, okay? So get in touch and let me know how it goes. I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of their Tuesday afternoon. I will see you again soon.